Give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Hey, football fans. My name is Mark Coe. I want to welcome you back to the New Mexico Young American Football League Alumni Series. And I am honored and humbled to be with me today is Mark Williams. I appreciate you coming aboard,
Thank you
Mark.
for having me.
Glad to
Appreciate
have
it.
you.
Good to see you,
So,
Mark.
when we think about you, Mark, can you give us a little bit of background, kind of your association with Yaffle, kind of some of the things that you've done, what you're doing now with your life, and give us a kind of a background?
I guess I might have been maybe 9 years old and joined the league. I had a friend that lived around the corner and told me about the football league. I think at that time there might have been maybe 300, 400 kids, you know. Yeah, it was real small. There was you just kind of played in your area, and they went by weights at that time.
Weights,
so,
okay.
Actually, a friend of mine, he was like a couple years older than me, but I was able to fudge him and let me play on his team when I should have been playing a lot lower. But you know, you live and you learn. But it was real great experience. At that time, you know, you had a choice of two different type of helmet styles. You could get one that looked like Roger Staubach with the 2 bars, or if you was lucky, you could get the T-bar. So that was the big deal.
Real good school.
Yeah, real
old school.
real good. Yeah. The league was about, like I said, about 300 or 400 kids. It was $25 to register, but you had to have a physical. You had to show your physical, register, get all your equipment, and then you went out and played on Saturdays. So it was fantastic. You know, football has always been a big part of my life. I played high school football. I was fortunate enough to play college football. And so when I got done with all that, you know, school and stuff, and decided to move back to New Mexico, I figured, you know, what better way than helping out some of the kids by, you know, going back and coaching with them and being with them and kind of mentoring the kids. So kind of got involved in Yaffle that way. I think maybe like around 1999 or so when I finally came back to Yaffle. Through the years, coached, served in all different type of capacities with Yaffle, was president, I think in 2007 or so, board member, coached some fantastic kids and just had a great time. It's a great thing.
Yeah, you know, Mark, I mean, you're a pretty well-known name around Yaffle and around the city. You're a local guy. You went to Grambling. You played college football. Have a successful professional now, physical therapist, helping out the community. When you think about football and Yaffle, and maybe some of the lessons that football teaches you, hard work, work ethic, teamwork, what are some of the lessons that you took away from your experience with Yaffle and football that you've put into your professional life?
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of cliches out there. People talk about, well, you know, you do this and you do that. But one thing I learned that, you know, there's camaraderie, there's teamship, sportsmanship, just the social aspect I think is very important for the kids, because it's a lot of times, you know, kids, they come from different walks of life. They don't always get a chance just to socialize and be themselves around kids their age. And, you know, it's a great thing, a great learning thing for the kids just to have that opportunity to meet different kids, be exposed to different things, have a little controversy, a little things where they have to have a little perseverance to work their way through things, a little adversity. I think those are all just really good learning things for kids, you know. And hopefully, you know, through sports, they'll learn some of those traits and they can carry that on through their life. That's what I look at.
So when you were kind of coaching Yaffle and being a participant on that level, what are some of the things that you were teaching your kids that were not football related? What are some of the lessons that you were trying to get across?
Well, one of the biggest things, you know, and I would always preach to the parents that, you know, that the kids, you know, they're not driving, but it's important that they be at practice on time, ready to practice. You know, you want to learn those things now, learn the importance of being responsible, learn the importance of making sure that you have your equipment. You know, it's not your parents who's playing, it's you playing. So you can't have mama expect to have your pants ready, your practice gear ready, that, you know, you're responsible for that. Responsible for doing the things that you need to do, being a part of a team to succeed at a certain goal. So I always kind of just try to hammer that stuff away, you know, just the basics of, you know, okay, you made a commitment, let's follow this commitment, let's work hard at it. You don't have to be the greatest player, but you can always give your best effort, you know. And then you just leave it out there. You know, afterwards you can go out and do your thing, you know, go to Chuck E. Cheese Pizza or whatever. But, you know, for the time being, for those 2 hours, let's just work hard and have fun and go out and do the best that you can. So that's what I always try to do.
You know, Talk a little bit about football kind of being passionate around the relationships that you build there, not necessarily on the football field. When you think back to some of your best memories in Yaffle and maybe in your experiences around football, what are some of the relationships that you built and some of the things that you can remember today, or maybe even friendships you've developed that are still around today?
Well, the surprising thing is, for coaching so long, most of the kids that I've coached now are grown adult men or women or so, cheerleaders and stuff. And then when they come up to you and say, "Hey, coach," and you have to look like, "Who are you?" But they kind of respond to you, and they kind of are real appreciative of the fact of the time that you gave them, your time, your effort, and you see they're turning into like real productive people. That's just always nice. I think we have a couple players that I coach that play college football. One or two of them, one of them is actually a sheriff now. Just some really good kids. And it's just really good to see them, start when they used to be in the back of mama's car, riding in that baby seat, to now they're adults and they're functioning and, having their own kids, and their kids are coming back playing Yaffle and stuff. And it's just really nice to see that.
A lot of satisfaction
Yes.
in that. And, you've been such an integral part of Yaffle in the community. When you think back, is there a particular moment when you were a player that you can remember back that was like one of your sort of funny moments, or one of those moments you'll always remember forever and ever?
Well, yeah, we had a few. I kind of understand some of the kids because when I was growing up, I was a little pudgy kid, and just the running the laps was just like, man, if I could get past those laps, I'd be all right. So that was always just in the back of my mind, and it just was the pride that you have when you were able to put your jersey on and wear it to school, and people ask you questions. "Oh, did you play football?" "Yeah, man, I played football, and I got my helmet and stuff." And so that was just always a great experience. When I was a kid growing up, I used to have my parents at that time for Christmas. You could go buy like a football suit. I don't know if you could do that anymore. It was always like a Dallas Cowboy hat, some
The
like
hat, the pads, the pants, and all that stuff. Yeah.
And I wanted one like that every year. So when I finally got a chance to play, it was just like fantastic. Now I got my own stuff, and I could get out there and run around and do my thing. So it just, you have those good memories that you always remember, and that's why I kind of want to preach to the kids that, that it's not so much about being successful or this or that or winning a bunch of games. And it just, you build friendship. You have camaraderie with your teammates. The parents get closer, you learn some valuable skills and stuff, and it's just fantastic, And it's just a good outlet for the kids so they won't get themselves in trouble or have something to do they could always fall back on, playing some sports.
I mean, that's just fantastic, the things that you've done to not just improve the skill set of the kids, but to install confidence and some other things that they're going to need later in life. When you think about the game today, and I think youth sports in general, or in particular, they take a beating a little bit for the safety of the game, right?
Yes, they do.
What is your take on how you feel like the game's safety has developed over the years and where we stand today?
Well, I think that's a very good point. I think a lot of parents are afraid, but there's always that stigma. And I think when I used to be a part of Yaffle and coach Yaffle, parents would kind of have that thought in their mind, "Oh, this kid is big, or this kid is this, or this kid is that." And it's really not so much of that, because most of the time the kids are kind of their same age. If there is a kid that's a little larger, most likely he doesn't have the fundamental developmental skills to implement that size or so like that. So I think, they do, there's constantly different things coming out, NFL trainings, where it's teaching kids how to tackle properly, how to protect themselves. The equipment has really changed from when I played,
Yeah.
And
From what you described, the
exactly.
1 bar, 2
Yes.
bar. Yeah.
So I think it's just, it's a lot safer game. The game is really not that fast moving along where there's a high impact for injury or so. When the kids go out and they have a good time, as long as they kind of know what they're doing, have an idea of how to protect themselves, I think it's fine. I don't think that there's a big risk involved as kind of has been blown up in the media.
Maybe when you were younger.
Yeah, when I was younger, we were doing a lot of things. But, at that time when I was younger, we would ride in the back of trucks, and hang out and jump off and do things, ramp off buildings and do a lot of things too. So the time has changed. But I think the equipment and the coaching and everything, the aspect is just kind of really improved. So the risk of injury has kind of really dropped.
Yeah, and I think Yaffle, with the Heads Up program and the certifications they require, and all the money and energy they spend to re-equipment every year,
Exactly.
and do a lot of new things with helmets, and just try to get kids involved that to understand that it's a safe game now.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
where you see the head.
that's a big thing that I think a lot of times people take for granted, that this is an organization, Yaffle, where actually they provide these things to you. as opposed to most parents having to go out and purchase. And a lot of times, person, they might not necessarily know what to purchase or so. But, this is a league that gives all that stuff, gives you everything you need, and, you can't beat that. You can't.
So if you were to think as a parent, and you were to give some advice to the parents today that have kids on teams and that they're sitting there on the sideline, would there be any advice you'd give them on maybe how they should conduct themselves and things they should be thinking about?
Just to be supportive of your kids. Make sure your kids are in practice on time. Try not to make excuses for them. Time management is so important. As adults, we all understand that, but I think instilling that in the kid, I will always preach that, yes, we want you to get your education, that comes first, but when you get home, make sure you get your homework done. Because by the time we have practice, you're going to be tired, you're going to go home, eat, and go to sleep. So you can't neglect these things, and I think that it's important that the parents really follow through with that. We're allowing you to play this sport, this extracurricular activity. Let's get these things done as well. Let's make sure we get your studying done. And I think it makes the kid feel, more needed and more like he's in control of his life and his situation, because he knows he has certain things that he needs to accomplish and do to complete his day. And I think that's fantastic. As long as the parents understand that, okay, this is a youth sport, we want our kid to play, we want our kid to enjoy himself, we want to be supportive of our kid, but we don't expect our kid to be Brett Favre or something like that out there. But we just want him to just go out and have fun, enjoy himself, and hopefully continue to use sports, football, as an adjective or whatever in life, as an extracurricular activity that will help him, develop and keep playing and, have a love for the game or a love for something, that's positive. So that's kind of how I look at it, and I kind of hope that's how the parents see it, because that's really important.
Some great advice. So if you haven't heard the word on the street, I've been able to spend a few quality moments here with Mark Williams, former Yaffle player, local high school star, college athlete, and now back in the community, giving back as a physical therapist and doing a lot of great things. And Mark, hey man, I appreciate you spending a minute with me today, man. And good luck to you. Hope we'll see you again.
For sure, man. And all the battles we used to have, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fantastic.
All right. Tune in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Mark.
Thanks a lot.
Audio Jungle.